Hello, this is History Shorts with the Artifactual Scholar. Today, I'll be talking about the Great Molasses Flood. At the turn of the 20th century, Boston's North End was a vibrant, thriving, congested immigrant neighborhood. Proximity to the harbor also made the North End an important industrial area. Because of the convenient location, in 1915, the Purity Distilling Company built a 5-story tall, 2.3 million gallon molasses storage tank near 529 Commercial Street. Molasses and distilling had long played an important role in Boston's economy. During the 17th and 18th centuries, molasses from the West Indies, imported to Boston and other parts of New England, was distilled into rum that was then shipped across the Atlantic to Europe and Africa. Molasses was a central component of the Atlantic Triangle trade. January 1919 was a typically cold New England winter, yet the morning of January 15th dawned unseasonably warm. A little after noon, the giant molasses tank that loomed over Commercial Street began to creak and moan. Suddenly, a loud rumble filled the air, accompanied by what witnesses described as the rat-a-tat-tat of a machine gun. The sound was actually the tank's rivets popping, and within moments the ground shook as the massive tank exploded and 26 million pounds of molasses poured into the surrounding streets. Reaching speeds of 35 miles per hour, the 15-foot-high wave of brown liquid slammed into houses, buildings, and railroad tracks, leaving a swath of destruction. The Engine 31 firehouse, located adjacent to the molasses tank, was swept off its foundations. The tracks for the elevated railway on Commercial Street were heavily damaged by the flood, and the neighboring structures were leveled. People and animals caught in the brown, gooey tide struggled to escape, but only sank deeper. As the Boston Post reported, here and there struggle to form. The more they struggled, the deeper in the mess they were ensnared. When rescuers moved into the area, they too had to contend with the sticky mess and were soon covered in molasses. As the injured, the rescuers, and the curious left the North End, they carried the brown sludge on their clothes and shoes, and soon a trail of molasses was spread throughout the city. The toll of the disaster was shocking. 21 people were killed and 150 injured by the flood. Property damage totaled $500,000, a tremendous amount in 1919, and nearly $100 million today. Cleaning up the mess took 87,000 man-hours, as the hardened molasses had to be chiseled, scraped, and swept away. Harbor water, used to hose down the streets, was tinged brown for several months. In the end, the Purity Distilling Company and its parent company, United States Industrial Alcohol, were held liable for the destruction. A month after the disaster, a judge ruled that the tank had not been structurally sufficient to handle its capacity. Further investigations showed that the metal used in the tank was too thin, the rivets too few, and the builder completely unqualified for the task. As a result of the molasses flood, Boston mandated that qualified engineers or architects inspect all building plans, a practice soon adopted by cities across the country. Today, the site of the molasses tank is a public park with playgrounds and ball fields. The only memorial to the tragedy is a small plaque. But some people say that on a hot summer day, the streets of the North End still emit a faint, sickly sweet smell of molasses. This has been History Shorts. Thanks for watching.